Page 24, Dancing Doll. This is a lesson on double dotted notes. As if a dotted note isn't enough of a challenge, now you get to double dot them. Well, bring out the wine. Here we go. A double dot. Let's just review the rule for dotted notes. You should certainly know it by now easily. The dot gets half the value of the note. Whatever the note gets, the dot gets half of that. You put them together. Well, when you start stringing dots together, each dot gets half the value of the previous dot. Gets better and better, don't it? I've never seen triple dotted notes. We don't need them. Double dot is bad enough. So let's just take a look here in this piece where they are. I see on page 24, last line, third measure. You have some B's here, and that B has two dots behind it, followed by a 16th note. A dotted quarter note would typically have an 8th note behind it, because the quarter note gets a count, and the first dot gets half a count. That's 1.5 counts, followed by an 8th note, that two counts total. But when they give it another dot, that represents half of the half, which is the 16th. So the quarter note, the double dotted quarter note is like a quarter note, an 8th note, and a 16th note all tied together. So it's followed by a 16th note, and that's the full 2 counts. So when you've had enough wine and think about that, what we end up doing with double dotted notes is we simply play the short note real quick. It's almost like a grace note. So here on this is the last line on page 24, third measure, with the B's, 2 and 3 and 2E and a 3E and a 2E and a 3E and a 1. That's all it is. It's just a real quick note. So, and because it's quick, I recommend using 2 different fingers, because you can actually use 2 different fingers more quickly than one once you learn how to do it. And you need to be able to do it anyway, so try this out. Now, which fingers you use, I don't care. You play it with a 4th finger, the B. You can do a 3-4 if you'd like, or you can do it, just play the 4 again to 4. Or you need to be able to go either way. My point is, don't use 4 on both of those. You'll get tense, and a lot of times the second one won't play. You won't raise up enough where the second one can play. Use 2 different fingers on this, and that's all it is. Just make it a real short note. Now, they're also using the unicorda pedal, soft pedal, but I'll talk about that a little later. Let's look this over and see what we got here. It's 2 pages long. Treble and treble clef. Remember, always check the clef signs. See, we got 2 treble clefs at the beginning now. 2 sharps in the key signature. We're in the key of D major. So make sure you can do the scales and arpeggios for D major and B minor. And 3/4 time signature. Let's take it one hand at a time. Make sure we know what each hand is doing. The right hand, when it comes in, you're up here. 1 and 2 and 3. And they want 2, 3. That grace note, I'll do it later. Right now it's just here. I like to use different fingers on repeated notes, but you can do it this way if you want. And then going on 1 and 2 and. They have a 1, 2, 1. Sometimes you got to do this. I don't like to, so I usually do a 3, 2. It's more like a scale fingering. And again, the third line. Again, I use 3, 2. There, and then do it again. Now, 4th line down, that's an 8VA above it. That's why the A is up. You're playing the same note you were playing here, but you're up here, here, and then it's more like a scale fingering. 1 and 2 and 3. Now you work it out. Last line on page 24, the 8VA goes away, you're down here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and sound like 3/4 time anymore. But it is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So 1 and 2 and 3 and. The idea. Left hand just got chuck chucks. You're starting up here. Connect the first two notes. And that third measure, the one with the bracket, remember that means play both notes with the thumb. Don't have to, you can do two here. But you can do that too, it's good practice. You get down to the last line on page 24, now you get bass clef. You're here. And you can do this if you want to stay out here. Otherwise, you come up here and you just want. I'll leave that up to you. Just do chuck chucks. Then on page 25, third line down, you get treble clef back. You're up here again. So put the hands together. We'll start at the end of the first line. When they're both playing, you're here, here. Not too bad until you get to the bottom, page 24. This is where it's kind of a hemiola effect, where it feels like you're playing 3/4 time in one hand and 2/4 in the other at the same time. Sort of. It's here, one and it's just weird because of the way it does it. One, these are together, and then these are together, and then these are together, and these are together. Just work that out really slow. Make sure the double dotted notes, that short note is really short. Really short. And the accent goes on the second note, not the short note. To here. Because a lot of times they're big bottom. No, it's the second note, to here. Now once you have the hands sort of working together, and then we think about the articulation. The tenutos at the beginning. Connect this. You can actually overlap it just a little bit. Yeah. Grace note is just a quick note. A lot of people will do it before the beat, so it'll. I do it on the beat. So it's here. See, there's a way to notate it if they really want the grace note before the beat. And that is like here at the beginning of the measure. If they really wanted that grace note before the beat, they would put it in front of the bar line to indicate before the beat. But when it's after the bar line, that's usually an indication it's on the beat. I do them all on the beat anyway. It doesn't really make much difference. It says, do it however your teacher tells you to do it. Hit staccato. Then the fourth line down, the grace note, that's an E here. So it's starting with the last measure, the third line, you're up here. Just real quick. Accent on the last one, I don't know that you need it, but okay. It's only in the right hand, not the left. And then here, staccatos. Because this, you want to do that, but at the same time, so you're doing different things here. This is together. Here, I'm holding that down, the second measure, but that's staccato. So add in the articulation. As far as the dynamics go, pianissimo at the beginning, very soft. And then the right hand's piano, that's for the right hand. The left hand stays very soft, and you're going up to moderately soft. The accented note will take it up another one to moderately loud. And then moderately soft. And back down to soft, and go back up to moderately soft. See, they didn't tell you to go down to soft. There's nothing, it's part of interpreting the music. You're not going to go up from where you're at. You're just going to do it again. Whatever you did at the top, you're going to do it again here. At the bottom, the last line, that's moderately loud. The left hand's in the background. And then on the page 25, third line down, you go back to what you were doing at the beginning. Once you have the dynamic sort of under control, then we think about the speed. Tempo de valse is it's a waltz tempo, but you can have slow waltzes and fast waltzes and in between waltzes. You decide. They give you some metronome markings up there, but ultimately it's got to be up to you. It's up to you. It's all pretty much the same speed throughout. Then, of course, they've added pedal a little bit, not much. You don't want to cover up the staccatos and things. But there's a few places, like down at the bottom, page 24 here. They want overtones on these. So a contrast between the other stuff. Okay, but don't pedal anything else. Now, you can pedal the end if you want. Here, for the overtones. That's the only reason you're doing it, for the overtones. Now they have an una corda here at the beginning between the staves. Una corda means one chord, this is the symbol or the indication to use the soft pedal. If you have an electronic keyboard, you may not have a soft pedal. If you don't worry about it. But it's good to know about the technique in case you happen to be playing on an acoustic piano. Then you do have a soft pedal and might use it. And the soft pedals on different pianos work differently, and they always have, and that's the problem. I never use a soft pedal unless I absolutely have to, and it's used for effect. It's not used to make it soft. You got to learn to have the control in the hands and the fingers to go as soft as you want to go without any extra help. And that's what the scales are for. You practice the scales at the different dynamic levels. Well, that includes soft, really super duper soft. How soft can you play a D major scale? You just got to get just as light as you possibly can. You just experiment with it to come up just as soft as you can play. Over time, you gain that control. The soft pedal on a grand, and what it's intended for, changes the tone. And that's why we don't use soft pedal unless we're supposed to. Here, they're telling you to change the tone. So I'm going to push the soft pedal. You can push the soft pedal down before you start on this one. And you just hold it down. Because if I play it without the soft pedal, with soft pedal, supposedly it's the same loudness, but the tone is different. And that's what they're after. Now in the last measure, the first line, they get tre corda. That means 3 chords, and that's the symbol to lift the soft pedal up. So the only time they're using the soft pedal here is at the beginning. It's like, what? No. You got to be careful with music. They throw you curves, these little things. You look out for the little things because they can make a big difference. I used to get in trouble in college with my teacher because I would miss the little things, and they would get angry with me because I'm missing the important stuff. Well, look at the first line on page 24, the last 2 measures. You see the double bars there. That's the section indicating. I'm leaving one section into another. So the first 4 measures is actually an introduction. It's a section. Then the song starts with the last measure of the piece, that line. Well, you see the fermata above the double bars. That's a hold, a pause, complete silence. How long? I don't know, it's up to you. Just total silence. Silence, and then you just go on. Don't forget the fermata, it's important. You get another section break, or a section in there On page 24, the last line is a new section. What's a new melody? So typically you get a new melody, it's going to be a new section, typically. Then on page 25, third line, that's another section. Well, it's like the first section. So you have an introduction, and then you have an ABA section. Or I could say the introduction is A, so that's an A, B, C, B section. If you're into analyzing music, some people enjoy it. I don't, but if you enjoy it, good for you. A little suggestion on the pedal. Look at the bottom of page 24, the last line when you're using it. I don't want both of those. So I suggest don't pedal until the second beat. Or change the pedal on the second beat. I typically just don't pedal to the second beat. However, you don't want to lose this. I want all that sound. Well, if I do that and I change the pedal, I lose the sound. It's gone. I just finger pedal the notes. Hold it down. Lift it up on the third beat. But I just don't want to blur the first two beats together because of the right hand. But I want to keep the left hand, so I'm finger pedaling the left hand so I can have it, but not using the pedal until the second beat. So the right hand is clean. We make these little adjustments like this sometimes.